Hi everybody, and welcome to RV Abroad. That's me, RV, and I'm living abroad. Today I wanted to share some travel tips with you. In the 3 years that I've been living abroad, so far I've traveled to 14 countries in Europe. I've purposely been trying to see as much of Europe as possible while I'm living here and have the chance to move around so easily. So that includes visiting a lot of popular tourist destinations. Unfortunately, if you travel, especially if you go to really popular areas, you're going to have to deal with lines and you're going to have to deal with crowds. Still, from my experience, I want to share some tips with you. So, here's my list of 7 tourist attractions in Europe that I found to be miserable to visit because of crowds, because they're so popular. And I'm going to give you recommendations for where you can go instead. As you're watching, let me know in the comments if you've had the same experiences I've had in these places, or if you have any other tips for other places to check out. Number 7, the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Look, I get it. Most Americans I know want to visit Paris, and when they're in Paris, they want to see the Eiffel Tower. Truly, I get it. But here's the thing. Once you visit and you get up to the top, there's not really anything to do up there other than the view. Which is spectacular if you're not afraid of heights, because it really does show you how big the city of Paris is. But that's pretty much it. If you want to visit the Eiffel Tower, you really need to buy your tickets in advance, like months in advance online. Otherwise they sell out, or you have to wait a really long time in line to get up there. Instead, I recommend going to a market, getting some fresh bread, cheese, wine, and just enjoying a picnic at the base of the Eiffel Tower in the park. Or another alternative that I found to be really great is to go to the Montmartre area at the Sacre Coeur and check out the view of Paris from there. You're still pretty up high at that point, it is on a hill, and you can see just how big the city is, but it's free. And you don't have to wait in the line to get there. Number 6, Stonehenge. I understand wanting to see Stonehenge. I wanted to see it, that's why we went. It's over 4,000 years old, it has mystical qualities to it, it's mysterious, it's cool. But because it's so popular, it's also crowded. And it's roped off. You really can't get that close to it. So you have to dodge a lot of tourists to get good pictures, to see it, to enjoy it, and you can't get up close and personal with it. Instead, consider visiting the prehistoric sites at Avebury. These sites share the UNESCO World Heritage Site recognition with Stonehenge, and they include the largest prehistoric stone circle in the world, larger than Stonehenge. And some of the sites at Avebury are even older than Stonehenge. Plus, they're less crowded and you can get closer to them. Number 5, the Charles Bridge in Prague. This lovely statue-lined bridge is often photographed empty at sunrise or sunset, and it's really beautiful. It's quintessentially European. Except I have no idea how a photographer would get a picture of it empty. I think you have to be really good at Photoshop for that. The reality is, when you visit Charles Bridge, you're constantly dodging selfie sticks and getting out of the way of Instagram photo shoots. It was packed with people when we were there, like shoulder to shoulder crowds. My recommendation, if you have to cross the river and you don't want to deal with the crowds on the bridge, go one bridge over. Just up the river is the Mánes bridge. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. But it's much less crowded. And from there you get a good view of Charles Bridge. It actually makes for some nice photographs. Number 4, the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is in the British Museum in London. It's pretty cool to see. And for historians, it was the key to deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphics. But there are a lot of people there to see it. When we went, we had to stand behind a long crowd and wait in line. By the time we got up to it and saw it, my son, who was 7 at the time, said, "Oh, it's just a big rock." You can't really argue with that. I mean, yes, it's a rock with 3 ancient languages that is very important to linguistic history, but it is still just a big rock with some carving on it. If you don't feel like waiting in line to see that, the British Museum is pretty big and has a whole lot of other rocks to look at too. Head to the Easter Island statue or spend £2 on the museum's guidebook of their top attractions. Number 3, the Colosseum in Rome, Italy. I know everyone wants to see this symbol of the great Roman Empire. Built around 80 AD, and I mean, it's an icon. But again, like so many tourist attractions, you need to buy tickets well in advance, and even when you have pre-purchased tickets, you still need to wait in some lines and bump around in some crowds in order to really see it. Instead, I recommend checking out the Roman Amphitheater in Arles, France. I mean, southern France is pretty amazing and would be a really nice trip. And the Roman Amphitheater there in Arles was built in around 90 AD, after the Colosseum in Rome, but not too much after. In fact, it was inspired by the Colosseum. It's smaller in scale, but it's still really big and really impressive. It's recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, along with a few other Roman structures in the city. So there's a lot to see there. I found it to be far less crowded than the Colosseum in Rome, and it still hosts live events that you can attend. Number 2, the Trevi Fountain. While we're in Rome, let's talk about the Trevi Fountain. Yes, it's beautiful, and I understand why people want to get a picture and do the old superstition of tossing a coin in so that one day they'll return to Rome. It's really fun if you can see it and if you can get up close to it, but I found that nearly impossible. It was very crowded and parts were actually partitioned off. It was beautiful to walk by, but I recommend doing just that and keep on moving. One of my favorite memories from our trip to Rome was an evening walk through the city after we saw the Trevi Fountain. We walked through some of the less crowded side streets and admired the architecture and the city life. Sometimes the roads less traveled are often more peaceful and give you a better sense of the city. And finally, the number 1 most overcrowded tourist attraction I visited is, without a doubt, the Mona Lisa in the Louvre in Paris, France. Leonardo da Vinci's painting of this woman may be one of the most well-known and most valuable in the world, but that also means it's one of the most visited. That makes seeing it really kind of difficult and, for me, miserable. I had to shuffle through an unorganized crowd, standing on my tiptoes to see over people's outstretched arms and cell phones. So, my advice, look at literally anything else in the room. Everybody's standing around staring at the Mona Lisa. The rest of the room is lined with pictures that are begging for your attention. While I was waiting, I turned around and admired 2 Hounds by Jacopo Bassano. It's a huge museum. Even if you don't see something you like in that room, I guarantee you'll find something you like somewhere else. So there you have it, my list of 7 overcrowded tourist destinations in Europe, and my suggestions for what to do or what to see instead. What do you think? Have you had similar experiences in these places or while traveling anywhere else? Let me know in the comments. I hope I've given you some travel inspiration. If so, check out my other videos and subscribe to RV Abroad so you don't miss any videos in the future. Until then, I'm wishing you safe and crowd-free travels. Bye!